everyone, and welcome to today's EAUC webinar. The title of this webinar is How MMU Successfully Use Social Media to Engage Staff and Students, and it will last approximately 1 hour. It is a student engagement and staff engagement and human resources live framework. Thank you for registering, and thanks also to Ryan Waugh and Jason Smith from Manchester Metropolitan University. My name is Nina, and I am the Member of Events and Communications Officer here at the EAUC. This is a member-only webinar, which is a benefit of your EAUC membership. It will be detailed with clear learning outcomes and expert speakers and will last approximately 1 hour. Shortly after the webinar has finished, you will receive a certificate of attendance to place on your personal development file as a record of the training. So just a little bit of housekeeping to go over now. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me well. If not, please send a message and let me know. I have popped you all on mute to avoid background noise, and you will continue to be muted throughout the webinar. If you're having any technical issues at all throughout this webinar, please let me know by either posting in the on-screen chat box or sending me an email to nbartlett@eauc.org.uk. Hopefully most of you have working microphones. Don't worry if not, as you will still have the opportunity to ask any questions at the end. This webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded as a resource with all presentations later on today. Please feel free to share these resources with any colleagues or fellow EAUC members. Once the webinar has finished, you will be sent a short survey for us to gain your feedback. Take a few minutes to complete this survey, as results will help us to improve our CPD and events. That's all me for now, so thanks again for registering, and I'll now pass you over to Ryan and Jason.
My name is Ryan Waugh, and I'm the Sustainability Engagement Coordinator at Manchester Metropolitan University.
And my name is Jason Smith. I'm the Environment Team Assistant for Manchester Metropolitan University.
Cool. So what we're going to talk about a bit today is how we use social media and some channels to engage our staff and students, maybe our engagement activities, and kind of spread the word about environmental sustainability within the university and across Manchester. So what specifically we'll cover, we will be looking at how we engage with staff and students, and we'll be looking at some tools to facilitate engagement, and we'll be talking a lot about our experience of using these tools. If you have any questions about things that please feel free to type in the message box, and we can come back to them at the end, and we can have a look over those questions and see if we can answer them for you. I'm just going to pass over to Jason a bit to give you a bit about our journey.
Here at Manchester Metropolitan University, obviously sustainability is very key on our agenda. We have done very well in the Green League in the last few years. We've been number 1 and now we're at number 3. A lot of that is down to our engagement activities that we do, and social media has definitely played a key role within our successes. We started out with the regular places that you would usually go, the Facebooks, the Twitters, and we started those pages very early on. A lot of them were sort of like pages on Facebook to help interact using things like Student Switch Off. So we created kind of dedicated pages on there for our students to interact with each other, post photographs, and I'm pretty sure all of you know how successful the Student Switch Off process has been using those mediums. We then headed over towards Twitter and started to use that a little bit more in sort of the early days. Now have around 2,500 followers on Twitter, which has taken us about 2.5 to 3 years to gain that size of following, which is not bad. Here at MMU, just to give a bit of background on how we run the social media here at MMU, it's not centrally controlled as such, so each department can run their own Twitter accounts, which is quite important for us as a department. It gives us a little bit more freedom to express what we want to do, and we're not fully bound by professional rules and things, but there may be organisations that you work within that do allow that to happen, which obviously just takes a little bit of negotiating and talking through. But we've we're quite unique in our Twitter account. We have about 15 members of staff within our team as a whole. All of those people are allowed access to our Twitter account. If they see anything of use that's environmentally or sustainability orientated, we give them the freedom to upload photographs and tweet things that we think would be relevant to our followers. So that's quite a unique thing that we have done. As that's progressed, we have started to open doors to different areas of social media, which Ryan will cover later on. And there's quite a lot of processes that we go through for many of our events. But we like to keep our Twitter and Facebook quite casual. Not everything is completely work related. As Ryan said, we do look at our wider area if there are certain things that are going on within Manchester or the Northwest as a whole, to do environment and sustainability, then we will quite happily tweet and retweet things that we think that our followers that would want to hear and would want to know about, and engage with us as well. So we're always open for a conversation there. If people send us a tweet, we try to respond in manner of however quickly we can possibly do that, even if that is just to say send an email with a bit more information, or where we can open that to the rest of our followers and have a bit of a chat between us.
Cool. What I'm going to move on to now is to talk a bit about where we are now as a team, and talk about a bit about what we've been using to try and engage staff and students in our engagement activities. So what we currently, we recently published an environmental sustainability strategy, which was a big kind of achievement for us as a team. It covers 12 specific sustainability areas, and we have targets and objectives for each one of these. Some ambitious targets for our team, and see here, 50% less CO2, 20% less water, 85% recycling for each of the different areas. So that's emissions, discharges, water management, waste and recycling. And it's thanks to our staff and students that we were on track to achieve these big targets. Without the support of these, we wouldn't be able to achieve these. And this is where our engagement activities play a really important part, and where social and digital media really help us to engage with our staff and students. One of the majority of kind of materials is the Let's Make a Sustainable Planet. Now this is the university's call to action on climate change. It's a strapline that we use on all our printed material, and see it on our bins as well. And it's all a name that we give to our e-newsletter, which I'll talk a bit about later. Our sustainability engagement activities are all supported by social media, and we wouldn't be able to recruit numbers or engage with the amount of staff and students if it wasn't thanks to social media and some of the other channels that we use. Just the engagement, we've been providing opportunities for staff, students and local communities to engage with the sustainability commitments of the universities. And you can see some of the events that we do here. So we have like the annual cycle event, we have Pop Swap, which is a clothes and book swap, and we'll come under the banner of Big Impact, which is our specific sustainability engagement project. It's a program of sustainability events, activities, learning, volunteering opportunities from our team, which are available to staff, students and local community members. I quickly break down how we break down our activities for sustainability engagement. So Big Impact is the program, and we have things like sustainability in action, advice and information on sustainability living, and we also have events that we do. And opportunities to engage with the sustainability committees of universities, and social media and other digital channels to engage staff and students in these events and activities.
I think part to that as well is what Ryan was saying, the way that we've broken it down and our audience targets. We've been very stringent in what we've been doing in looking at the people that are following us, and that can take a little bit of time, and going through your followers, just having a little look and seeing and understanding where those people are coming in and looking at your university. So they may well be students, they may be members of the public, they may be people from external businesses, they may be people from other universities that just want to have a look and see what you're doing. As we're saying, you need to be aware of what your audience is and try to tweets in your social media to suit all of those. It is a difficult thing to do, and you should always try and get some help with that, whether that's through your own marketing departments or an external marketing department. But you need to be aware of the people that are following you, so that you can make sure that your tweets are aimed at the right audience. If you find that they're not quite the people that you're targeting, maybe try and run some drives as to try and find yourself a way to get those new followers, whether you do some incentive at Freshers Week or something like that, to say if you give us a follow and prove that you've followed us, we'll give you a little key ring or something. But those kind of things can work, and if they are genuinely interested in what you're trying to say, especially around something to do with sustainability, which is obviously becoming more and more prevalent, you need to focus on those areas and see whether you can help your audience come to you. And these days it is just as simple as press a button and follow. They can see what you're putting out there, and that can make all the difference for an event that you're trying to run.
So for specific actions, events that we want students and staff to get involved with, we'll use various different tools to try and engage with people, collect data and keep in contact with them. So for one activity that we do each year is our annual cycle event. Now what I'm going to do now is just talk to you a bit about the typical engagement journey and the tools that we use to kind of attract staff, students, local community members to get involved with a specific event, such as the annual cycle event. So some engagement tools that we use, we have some free services like Facebook and Twitter, and Bright, SimMonkey as well for gathering feedback. But we use some paid for services which we access through our marketing and communications department. They are things such as Campaign Monitor and WordPress as well, which are hosted by our marketing department, but we have access to and have to pay a small fee for. I'll talk to you a bit about how we use them along the engagement journey. So it's a journey for someone that we're trying to engage in what are sustainability engagement activities. For instance, an annual cycle event. We use the likes of Facebook and Twitter for the majority of promotion of events. Facebook is a very good tool for engaging with students. Twitter has been a very good tool for engaging with staff, other organisations and different groups across Manchester. What will usually happen is we will then advertise the event through Eventbrite as well. So the majority of our events are ticketed for Eventbrite, usually free, but using Eventbrite, it's an opportunity for us to get details and contact details of people, so we know numbers and we can continue to contact them post-event. A typical person would register through Eventbrite, keep in contact with them through Eventbrite, send reminders close to the time. Also links to SurveyMonkey, which I'm sure a lot of people have used before for gathering feedback. We will use SurveyMonkey access through Eventbrite to survey people to get feedback on our particular events. We have a number of different surveys that we've set up with similar type of questions, so we can monitor and evaluate all our engagement activities throughout the year. Things like we have questions related to what people think of our status with regards to environmental sustainability. Did you enjoy the specific event? Do you want to get involved in events? And we also use that survey to actually ask if people want to keep in touch with us. So there'll be a question at the end of the survey: do you want to be added to our mailing list? Now this is where those paid for services come in handy. We then use those who have said they'd like to be added to our mailing list. We come to Campaign Monitor, with a system where you can send digital campaigns kind of emails, and we can link back to your own kind of blog. It's how you use WordPress. So we then add them to a list of attendees in Campaign Monitor to keep a record of these people if they'd like to, and we'll use that subscribe list to keep in contact with them, engaged in the future, and send them our monthly digital e-news. I don't use the word newsletter because it's a bit more sophisticated than that, but it's essentially just a kind of email newsletter that we send out, and links through to articles that we publish in WordPress, which is embedded with the environment team pages on the main Manchester Metropolitan University website. Another thing that was cited before, this one's a bit interesting. It was we did a while back and was using a different type of social network to create an event and engage a different type of people and get involved in kind of activities to kind of build awareness of the environment team, what we're doing at Manchester Metropolitan University, and our kind of environmental sustainability achievements. Impossible, if anyone has heard of it, is a social network promotes the idea of the gift economy or the sharing economy. This network that's been started by Lily Cole, who's a model / activist, actress, and she started this following some research she did while she was at university. It's a social network which people can get involved in and kind of experiences with others for free, and that you get something back from that. Solved with this because I have a particular interest in kind of the sharing economy, stuff like that, and it was through kind of wish. You make wishes of things that you would like, and it was through a wish on that site that we managed to get Lily Cole to actually come to university and talk about her environmental, her work, our launch of our engagement program, Big Impact. You can see an image there where she came along, she had a chat to our students. It was a group event. We got whole different students that we wouldn't usually get involved in a specific engagement activity because Lily Cole is who she is from the fashion industry, but does a different type of thing. Just we got a whole different group of people engaged in that activity. We stay involved with whole social network impossible. It might not have followers that Twitter and Facebook have. and it's very much in its infancy in that it's still building, still changing, it's still trying to kind of get a position in the market. But we bought it because we're really in what it's about and its ethos with the sharing economy and gift economy.
I like it is kind of thinking outside the box, because it's not your regular social media that you would normally sign up to. So you automatically go in and you get yourself a YouTube channel and a Facebook page and a Twitter page, because they're what everybody else is doing. But a lot of social media is about trends, and whether that is about current hashtags or current discussions that people are talking about, there may be certain platforms that people are sort of getting into, and we feel that we've got ahead of the game a little bit with this one, where Impossible, as Ryan says, hasn't quite taken off yet, but it has such a good ethos behind it, and everything that we stand for, it backs that up with an economy, with if you can do something for me, I will do something for you. And if you live in these cities like we do, there's always somebody that you can help with that, but you might not have necessarily heard of this particular platform, and it's about going out there and seeing if there is something else that is around that might work for you. So things like Flickr, we've only recently just joined that, and that's still classed as social media, even though you're posting photographs, still sharing your ideas, and you can still be creative with that, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a photograph capturing the moment. You can also upload pre-made images that might have key messages that you want to get out to your students. So it's not, what we're trying to get around is that it's not just about the Facebooks and the Twitters, because they're free and they're in your face. There are other platforms that you can use, as we covered with Campaign Monitor. You do have to pay some money for that, but if you are kind of serious about engaging with the students and bringing them to things that you want to host, then it might just be worth that extra bit of money to spend on something like Campaign Monitor.
And as mentioned before, we have continued to support this. They have a news channel which their users can submit items to, and that's something that I've been doing personally, and also been sharing the events that we through the university. So you can see this is a tag of my events here, so talk about the different week events, and we share them to the users on their site, and it builds a bit of a profile for us as a university, and shares a bit more about what we do to users on the site that we have started to engage with. Every tool that we use is the type of audience that we want to contact. So I just highlight what we do currently with regards to social media channels and what we use them for. And we have a Twitter, like I imagine many of the institutions do, for your specific team. So we have the MMU environment team, and we have a Twitter. Now we use that mainly for corporate things. It's specifically for kind of, well, it's mainly internal and external stakeholders. We share our successes on there. We share calls through our e-news channel, things that we're doing kind of events. But I think many of you will know from Twitter, we're not entirely sure how students engage with it. Very much your groups, corporations, things like that for Twitter. Now engagement program, which is a bit more fun, engaging, kind of, we do engage with staff and students, and use a Facebook page for that. Now we find the Facebook page works better for trying to engage with students specifically. Maybe not so much staff, but we do find some staff engage with our page through that. And the Facebook page we have is for one of our actual engagement activities. Pop Swap is our kind of funded clothing and book exchange. This is a fun, engaging activity that we student volunteers leading on, and they experience through using and managing that Facebook page for us, kind of inviting their friends, and that's how we get a lot more student engagement to that kind of activity. Just going to mention Twitter again. Jason might want to chip in a bit here as well. You can see it, here's our typical kind of M&T page. You can see we've got, Jason mentioned before, we've got around 2,250 followers there. I'm not entirely sure how many of those are students. It might be interesting to get a bit of conversation about how you use Twitter and whether you think we can engage students in Twitter. But I mean, from experience, a lot of people who follow us are academics, kind of local groups, corporations, things like that. From our feed, I'm not sure how clear that is for you guys, but we use something called TweetDeck to schedule tweets in. It means that we're not constantly kind of tweeting as and when, but we tweet quite regularly to encourage people to sign up to receive our newsletter. We also share kind of the articles that we publish in that newsletter via TweetDeck as well. Schedule them in a couple of days so they'll come up in people's feeds. So you can see the top one there is links back to an article about our staff engagement project, which would then link through to our WordPress.
And what helps with is that you're not just having 9 to 5 tweets. So you might, if you use Twitter, you might know that you might go in it before you go to work, or you might go on it late evening or something like that, even at weekends. So we're obviously not here at that time. We only work sort of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So with TweetDeck being able to schedule those tweets, it gives us a better opportunity of actually getting amongst people's news feeds. Like Ryan said, if you're on Twitter and you follow sort of 500 people, the likelihood of our tweet appearing amongst those tweets is quite slim. So it's not overkilling it and doing it too much, but more about being strategic about your timing and being able to schedule those tweets at 8:00 in the morning or 7:30 when somebody might have just got up and is doing the usual rounds on social media, or later on in the evening when they've finished all their work. So it is a good platform. It is free. Again, you just sign up and you can run all your social media feeds from there. So it will do Facebook from there as well. So if you run multiple accounts for varying different programs, you can see all them in one screen on TweetDeck. So we do recommend TweetDeck.
Before how Facebook seems to work for our engagement program, a big impact in some of the specific engagement events. This is Big Impact Facebook page, 187 likes. We only started this last year, so it's still quite in its infancy, and that we're trying to build a kind of base for this. Similar with Twitter, we will share through articles from our e-news and from our blog to our Facebook page, try and engage with our staff and students. Also encourage people to sign up to our newsletter on this page, and again that's scheduling stuff in so it appears and when we think might be best for staff, students, those kind of scrolling through, having a look. We've also did well with branding here, I think. We've had other banners made as well, which we change quite regularly. Usually relate to a specific event or a kind of month. This one here is done quite recently. This is we kind of do a bike v broom, we do a pot v punnet, jump versus heater type thing. So bike v broom, which is obviously a car, was to kind of promote our annual cycle event in June, which is of activity go along around June with our cycling things going on in the city, with our partners like at the top of the Manchester, stuff like that. So those banners, and when activities come up, we sort of fit in to kind of promote those a bit more as well. And that we have, which I mentioned, is the page that is run for our engagement activity Pop Swap. So it was an idea that came from a staff member and is developed into a kind of regular event, which attracts some of our biggest numbers of staff and students for an engagement activity. The page is set up by some student volunteers that we recruited to run this, engage some students. It's trying to get to do this for a bit of experience and work with our team to create something a bit interesting. So this is our termly fashion and book exchange, and it's coordinated by a group of people that we now call our student sustainability ambassadors. We actually took on those student volunteers. We now employ them through a group called Jobs for Students, which is kind of the university's paid employment for students, and now pay them for their kind of contribution to planning and delivering this. We're very much with us. It's a type of event which does attract many students, possibly because it is free clothes and books, but it works very well on Facebook. The past few events, we have specific event pages on Facebook, and the students can actually share to their wider networks of friends. One in December had 83, March 77, in June 66, which is quite big numbers for us to get along to events. And about our engagement journey, we got to the point where we surveyed them. We've asked them if they want to join our newsletter so that we can keep in touch with them. This is our newsletter. We call it Let's Make a Sustainable Planet, which you'll remember from before, which is our kind of outline, our call to action for climate change across the university. So it's a really positive branded thing that everyone can relate to. They've seen it around university. So this is the name of our monthly e-news. We share sustainability stories, news, events from the whole university, and collect details of interested parties, keep in touch with them monthly, and this is done through a web-based program called Campaign Monitor, which I mentioned before is runs kind of through marketing communications, and we have to pay a small fee for, but it works really well for us. So typical journey for those who want to get involved, to receive our monthly newsletter, I can sign up via a sign up form on our homepage, which is mmu.ac.uk/environment. We also have a specific web-based form which you can share in kind of tweets or in messages or in emails. And we have a form that we use on ads for our events. As mentioned before, we do ask them in the surveys if they join and receive our newsletter monthly. Details are automatically added to a subscriber list within Campaign Monitor. So it's a list updated for us. Ask their name, email, and a bit about them. So ask whether they're a student, a member, or whether they're an external stakeholder. This enabled us to target some of the specific activities to specific groups of people. So if it's a student event, a student-only event, we can take that list, manipulate it, and send a specific email about that event to just students.
The point that we're trying to home here is that one size doesn't fit all. So if you've just got a Twitter page or just got a Facebook page, it's sometimes not enough. You've got to try and cover all bases. A lot of the research that we've done has said that students wouldn't like to receive communication in this way. They're not keen on us sending out all student emails or anything like that. They're quite happy to be able to fine-tune what they receive from the university. So if they go on Twitter and they like us, then obviously we know that they're happy to receive that information. And this is a very similar thing. What we're trying to do with staff in the opposite direction is that they're not actively using social media. So, but we don't want to bombard them either. So we don't send all staff emails. We allow this to fine-tune who wants to receive these emails. And when they do, they can get them directly in their inbox, and they'll be able to view them whenever they want and interact with them whenever they want. So not one thing is going to fit everything that you need to do. So we're just trying to spread it a little bit and have different things. And yeah, okay, you might just be duplicating the message on a couple levels, but it is probably the best way for us to meet all our audiences. We've backed up tweets, we've backed up newsletters and blogs and things like that to make sure that you're covering all the bases that you need to.
This is a snapshot of the email that would be sent. This is one from last month. It's all built and designed through our marketing department, so they build us a template and just add in content, snapshot of the specific article that we write, which is actually held and uploaded to WordPress, and we then link that through. So we tend to schedule particular articles in throughout the year a good in advance, so where we know a specific activity might be coming up, for example the annual cycle event in June, we will schedule something in perhaps to go in maybe the month before as well, just to promote that event a bit more further. And then we'll usually talk about what happened at the event, share success from that event in the month after that. We get a lot of our content from the team through cycles, through the newsletter, writing copy. We also get articles from wider university as well. So we're very much in contact with the marketing department, so when things come up on the news that might be related to sustainability, we'll also share this in our newsletter. We are guest kind of blog writers as well, so we've invited groups from in Manchester to submit blogs, kind of hints and tips type things. Recently had one from a group called Stitched Up, who are a sustainable fashion collective in Manchester. They wrote us an article on caring tips for kind of clothing and a bit about sustainable fashion, which went down really well. So that blog, as I mentioned before, that's embedded within our pages on the MMU website. We use a system called WordPress, and it's designed through our marketing department, so they make and build this platform which is embedded within our web pages and is made to look how we want it. So that's a typical blog there. That's one of the posts. Email you'd see before, we take a snapshot, we link the image and the title through the blog. We'd have a few sentences to describe what that article's about, and they can click onto that to read the full article, which is on our web pages. You can see there as well, we categorize everything. What we categorize things into those 12 sustainability areas, which I mentioned before. Things like biodiversity, emissions, discharges. We also have things about events, type-specific events for people that might be looking for something like Pop Swap or as a waste campaign, things like that. And when specific specifically copywriters, we've had some training from our marketing and communications department, and they've been really supportive in helping us do this. And you to support us with writing this copy and proofreading what we do. So I would advise, if anyone was going to take something up like that, I would definitely utilise kind of your marketing and communication department. Other people within the university who can help you with this. So we have things, we'll send it over to marketing, someone will send us back with some comments, maybe some changes, things like that. We do try to keep it really short, sweet, with some links, add some pictures in and make it a bit more interesting. Just wanted to touch on the web traffic thing. So I think the main point of this was trying to drive people back to the website to share some information about what we're trying to do. You can see here, this is something that we pulled from Google Analytics. We launched this in February. So the first issue of Let's Make a Sustainable Planet was launched in Feb. You can see before February, there was a low kind of hits on kind of blog pages, web pages, and once you hit Feb, it starts to spike up. You can see the spikes are where we send our email communication each month, and people have clicked and linked through.
I'm saying that if you use Campaign Monitor, you can view quite a lot of analytics in there as well, that you can see clicked on certain articles and you know which ones are the popular articles. So if you go externally to a lot of external marketing companies and ask them about Twitter and social media, a lot of the work that they will do is around analytics and where the clicks are coming from, and that's obviously key. And you can get a lot of free sort of analytical assessment stuff online. Most of it's free as well, so you can put in your pages and your details and certain links, and you can actually see to a level where people are coming in from and where they click in and where they end up to. And that can obviously be quite key in what you do in the future. So you can quite easily see what's interesting, what's not interesting, what you can keep, what you should get rid of. And those graphs and information can be invaluable. And that's kind of what you're paying for a little bit with Campaign Monitor, is it will monitor the success of your campaign through the analytics and allow you to see what is working for you and what's not working for you.
And it does a lot of statistics. What's been really great for us is that we can see what type of articles that people have clicked on. I mean, usual stuff is when events coming up, people have clicked to see when there's if they attend, stuff like that. But what is really valuable to us is that we've seen that a lot of the articles that we write around kind of tips for being a bit more sustainable, and they've always been quite popular as well. So we've tried every month now to include something which has a bit of a kind of hints and tips kind of angle on sustainability. We can analyse that every month and see exactly who has clicked on which article, how many people, which are the most popular. You can, from this page, this just kind of gives us, this is from Campaigns Monitor, and this tells us kind of how many recipients, how many people opened it, and how many people actually clicked on an article and linked through to a blog and actually read that. What you see here, what I'd advise you to do if you were going to do something like this, you'll from kind of March, April time, recipients were over 4,000. We had permission to send this email in first instance to all staff across the university. So what we're doing here was giving them a bit of a kind of taste of what we were going to continue to do each month. And with the email, we're asking them to register, because in the coming months we would only be sending it to those that were interested. So, kind of click-through rates and open rates back then, kind of around about the 21% mark. Now, here when we started only sending it to people that had pre-registered, you can see that open rates and click-through rates have gone up to where the 40s, 50%, which I think is really good for a kind of open rate for a specific email communication. So what we've continued to do now is just kind of push that, register with us if you want to receive it, and we only send you information that you're interested in. So that is kind of our journey so far. We have only just started on the kind of campaign monitor, the e-news type thing, so we're still learning a lot about this ourselves, kind of tweaking it, improving it as we go along. And if you've got any questions, we'd be happy to take those now and answer a few that came through on the web chat. Okay?
Yep. I'll answer that one.
Cool. Got a question here from Cassia. How far in advance of the do you begin creating promotional material and sending out promotion? This is a good time for us over the summer to start planning the events for the rest of the year. We have an engagement kind of plan, and our events are already scheduled in, and we pretty much start promoting these and promotional materials from now. Usually for a specific event, we'll kind of send it out in our e-newsletter kind of a month or 2 months before, and kind of keep up with the Facebook stuff, Twitter, a good weeks, days before as well. What is the benefits of Campaign Monitor over other newsletter type applications like MailChimp? What is the monthly cost? We started a journey with MailChimp. It was something that we found very great to use. And when we started on that journey, we hadn't actually explored with marketing and communications as to what might be the best option for us. And when we did start doing that research with them and asking the right questions, they actually advised us to use Campaign Monitor because that's something that they use with department. They've been using Campaign Monitor for a good maybe year, 2 years now for their alumni communications. So we had an account registered with them and experience of using that, and we're really good in advising us on how to use it. We started using it for travel bulletins as well, so kind of branded, kind of really cool, really good travel bulletins we used on that. The cost for email, it is 1 cent per email, which is obviously kind of cost to our department we pay for, but it's not a great deal for what we get, I guess. Yeah, and another problem with MailChimp that we found was that it was sent to people's junk mail, and that had a double opt-in. We had kind of a form which to a list, a subscriber list in MailChimp, but every time someone subscribed, they got an email and then had a double subscribe. They had to click on the email they received to say they definitely wanted to be in it. Now we just have the single form, which goes straight in the list, which works a lot better for us, because we're finding people were subscribing, not then looking at the email and double subscribing, and that sometimes got lost in junk folders. So we'd lose people that we met at events who said they wanted to kind of get in touch with us and subscribe to what we were going to send. Got another question here from Sarah. Do you have social media targets?
It's difficult to put a target on it, isn't it? Because if you were to angle it on followers, then, I mean, you could go out and get thousands of followers. I don't think you'd have much of a trouble trying to do that, but it's it is about quality rather than quantity. So, alright, you did say at the beginning we've got 2,500 followers on our Twitter, which is a decent following. But a lot of the things that can come in on Twitter, obviously there are some spam accounts, people that just follow and are just looking for followers themselves. That's just one of those things that we have. But I suppose our measure mainly is for how many people come to events and how much interaction we have with them. But obviously the whole aim of it, as Ryan touched on before, is to try and get traffic back to our environment team page, whether that's in the blog where people can read about the things that we're in, or in the main page where they can see what our targets are and things that we've achieved and hope to achieve going forward. But that's social media targets, I don't think we've set them really. I think it's a measure of it is via our campaigns and traffic to our website.
We've got a question here from George. Do you ever use YouTube and podcasts as part of social media campaigns? Not so much since I've been here, but I don't know whether...
We did a little bit for an event that we did that was to engage students to be like creative thinking. So we had something called JAD, which is very much about thinking outside the box. It was a 24-hour event that we did, and we did get some videos made up, but they're quite expensive to do promotional videos. They are expensive or quite time intensive as well. So, I mean, you could film events that you do, but it's about making them quality and not having grainy videos of people walking around and not really knowing what's going on. And to get a decent video that's worth using, we found that to be quite difficult and expensive to do. Podcasts, I know the university use podcasts as sort of training method. So we've had quite a lot of new systems brought on and they've used them, but I don't think we've ever used them for any of our campaigns, but don't rule it out in the future.
Cool. Another question here from Sarah. You mentioned you use SurveyMonkey to sometimes ask your stakeholders about how they view the work that you do. Is this the only way you monitor how staff and students view the department's work, or do you do other things like specific surveys?
We have annual surveys, don't we? Annual staff surveys that the university sends out and we send out. We have travel surveys, we have student surveys that
we also ask students in their enrolment, a survey on enrolment. Every year we ask them whether they think the university has a positive environmental sustainability kind of stance. One of our targets I mentioned before, we have the 12 areas, key sustainability areas, which we each have targets for. Now, our target for sustainability engagement is to maintain a positive rating from students of above 8%. So we will get that to maintain each year up from enrolment and look at what the students think, and hopefully in our job right, they'll think that we have a positive environmental sustainability kind of attitude. It'll usually be above 80%. More questions, or anyone ask anything? Have we missed anything from the list?
We got all on, didn't we? No, I think we've got everything.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much to Jason and Ryan for sharing their insight. That was a really, really useful presentation. And thanks to everyone again for joining us. Just so you know, I will send you the link to the recording later on so that you can share that with colleagues and other EAUC members. And I'll also forward on your certificates of attendance. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us.